Today, but good morning everyone. Welcome to the second day of Social Media Week. My name is Angeline. I'm from AK Asia, the city host of Social Media Week Singapore. As some of you might know, this is the second time we're hosting Social Media Week Singapore, and last year, February, was the first Social Media Week. I'm really happy and excited about our panel today. I'd like to say a special thanks to the Arts House for providing this venue for us. So without further ado, I'll pass the time to our moderator, Jean Tai. Jean is from Her World magazine. She's the associate features editor, and she will introduce our topic for today. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Angie. Hi everyone, I'm Jean, and welcome to today's discussion, Love in a Time of Social Media. So just to briefly outline the scope of the discussion today, we'll be talking about how social media has changed the dating game, as well how we can be smart users of social media as well to find love online. So this is our panel for today. I'll just pass the mic to each and every one of them so they can do a quick self-introduction. So panelists, maybe you could just state your name, a little bit about what you do, and maybe give us a background as well as to your own use of social media, how involved you are. I'll start with Norman on my left.
Hi, everybody. I'm Norman Lee. I'm an associate professor of psychology at Singapore Management University. My research focuses on mating strategies, and mate preferences. So let's see, how did I get involved with social media? Well, I've kind of arrived a little bit late on that scene in some sense because of relationships, the way they've gone for me, but I've paid attention to it a lot because it's a very integral part of my research, and the questions that I ask about mating and how people meet, how people are attracted to each other for short-term or for long-term relationships.
Alexander?
Hi, I'm Alexander Wallestam. I've been in Singapore for 4 years now. I have created a few companies in Singapore, all within social media, and my latest project is called Go Break the Ice, which is an online dating company that actually is a Facebook application, which is social dating. So I combine online dating with social media. Yes.
Maddie?
Hi, I'm Maddie from Kiss 92. I host the breakfast show, and I use social media a lot, mainly for work and also personal life. So I actually have two accounts. I have a private profile where it's just my close friends, and then I have one where I add every single person that wants to add me for work purposes, and I probably text, tweet, and Facebook every day, quite a lot, for work and for pleasure as well. So I do enjoy social media.
I'm David Tian, Director and President of Aura Dating Academy in Singapore. We coach men and women to find success in life and love. And for social media, we have a very active fan page, so it's facebook.com/Aura Dating. And I think we have like 23,000 fans on that. I also have my personal profile there, so yeah, I do a lot of stuff on Facebook.
Thank you so much. Just to give you a brief outline, we're going to spend about an hour or so on discussion with the panel, and after that, the rest of the time will be Q&A from the audience. We'll be going around with a mic later on to take your questions. But in the meantime, if you would like to tweet your questions, you can as well. You just have to tweet your questions to hashtag SMWSGLove, L-O-V-E. That's hashtag SMWSGLove. Your questions will come up on the Twitter feed later on, and I can refer to it during the Q&A later if you'd like to do that. Okay, so just to start, I'm not sure if all of you were aware, but there was actually a social experiment that was conducted earlier this month in the lead up to this panel discussion. Basically, we had 40 volunteers do a Facebook dating experiment. There were equal men and women. And I'm going to just spend some time going through the findings because they're quite relevant for the discussion today. So if you just bear with me. The social experiment. Okay, what happened, just to give a bit of background, is that these 40 participants were split into 4 groups of 10. So there were 5 girls and 5 men in each group. And they basically got to interact with each other on Facebook. That means to say they added each other as friends. And they were basically able to Facebook stalk each other, which meant they could read like wall posts, look at photos, even private message the people that they added online. And from there, they were able to form certain impressions of these new friends, bearing in mind that these are people that they had never met before prior to the experiment. So what AKA Asia did was to get everyone to rank their new friends according to these 4 factors: physical attractiveness, personality and likability, career prospects, means things like their job, their earning potential, and stuff like that, and the overall experience interacting with them on a scale of 1 to 5. The twist is that the participants actually met a week later in a speed dating session face-to-face, the day after Valentine's Day, I think. And I think you see where this is going, because they would then be able to compare the online impressions they made of these people with what they saw in person, and from there, draw out certain conclusions. And this is what we found. Okay, let's start with physical attractiveness first. This is one of the 4 criteria that the participants scored each other on. Okay, what this graph shows basically, if you look at the pink columns, this is what the men thought of the women. So in fact, they rated the women an average of 8.6 based on their online appearance. This fell to 7.8 when they actually met them face to face. So, to put it quite bluntly, the women actually appeared better online than they did offline. Whereas for men, it was the opposite. They looked quite average online, 5.4, but this went up to 6.7 when they met offline. So, yeah. I'll let the panelists comment on this later, but I'll just go through the rest of the results right now. Okay, in terms of personality and likability and just the overall pleasantness of the interaction, across the board, everyone felt that they had a better experience offline rather than online. So they preferred interacting with the people face-to-face in the flesh. Career prospects, no significant difference was found, both online and offline. It's pretty consistent. Okay, this is pretty interesting. This is the results from the female participants. And what you see here are the qualities that they ranked as most important when forming an impression of someone online. So the most important thing they said were the photos of the men. Photos were the #1 thing that they looked out for, followed by the wall posts, means status updates, links that they posted online. Mutual friends was in 3rd place. The About Me section, where you list things like your name, where you work, your relationship status, was 4th place, followed by likes. Okay, let's see how this compares with the men. Photos were the most important, similar. Likes were also the least important, same as the women. It's the middle part that's a bit different. For men, About Me is the second most important criteria, whereas for women it was 4th. Yeah. Followed by wall posts and then mutual friends. Okay, what else? We also asked the participants to rank their top 5 people that they met. So who would be the person they would be most likely to go on a date with. And so that's how they ranked the participants through the initial online Facebook encounter. And we asked them to rank the participants again after they met them face to face. And here's the difference. Online, 4 pairs of guys and girls ranked each other as each other's first choice, which means that, had there been a matchmaker there would have been 4 successful dates based purely on the Facebook experience. Offline, however, after they met, this number decreased. So there are only 2 successful pairs who both said, I like him, he likes me. We don't know if anyone went on a date after this. That would be quite interesting to find out, actually. Okay, just some final responses. Interestingly, most people said they would be more willing to meet up with another person after the speed dating session. Only 62% said they would be open to dating someone, just based purely on the online experience. This jumped by 11% after the speed dating session. people in general more charitable as well once they met in person. Online, only 28% said that yes, one of the people I've met possesses characteristics of my potential mate. And this jumped to 42% once they actually interacted face to face. And if you're wondering, this score actually indicates how much the people trusted each other, trusted their Facebook profiles. So initially, when they had only just met on Facebook, they rated the other person, the truthfulness of the other person's profile. They gave it an average of 6.4. Later on, when they met and they had a chance to compare the real person with the Facebook profile, they were a bit more charitable as well. They said, okay, 7.2% truthfulness. So those are the findings of the social experiment. So right now I'm going to turn to the panel. Panelists, all of you are experts in your field. Some of you are in the dating industry as well. Any comments or observations about these findings? Did anything surprise you? David, maybe we'll start with you.
Well, it was interesting, the first few slides there, that the women presented themselves better online than men didn't. So there's a marketing opportunity for people who want to help people with their profiles to target men and use that statistic that they can improve the profile photo.
Actually, I have a theory for that. I think it's because for women, I'm sure you know, we actually vet every photo that goes out and we untag every photo we don't like. So therefore, chances are you're less likely to see a bad photo of us online, whereas the guys don't really care. It's like, oh, I look bad. All right, whatever. So
I think the guys do care, they just don't know what they're doing.
yeah, maybe there's that too, but they're less likely, to go Photoshop or to, and I guess that's the aspect of makeup as well. You know what I mean? Like on photos, girls also know their good and their bad side. So this is a good side, so they take the pictures of all the good side. Whereas for guys, I mean, different standards.
No, I absolutely agree. I think guys are less picky about their pictures. We don't know what we're doing. I have a lot of pictures on Facebook, and I don't like anyone, but I don't untag them. Yes, women are more. They also have makeup, so.
Right. So they curate their photos.
Yes.
More carefully.
Probably, that's my theory.
Actually, the research bears this out, what they've said, because the studies show that women tend to select their best photos and spend more time with them, and put pictures up, especially when they were younger and slimmer. So in some cases on online dating sites, there's women putting pictures that are 20 years old on them, trying to pass that off as what they are now.
Which is funny because this morning on my radio show, and we were talking about that, and there was a guy that came in, specializing in dating, and he gave a really good suggestion. He says, actually, when you put a photo online, you should never put like a number 10 photo. You should always put like a number 6 photo, so that when they meet you, you over-exceed their expectations. And I thought that was kind of smart, because you never really think about that. And obviously, with the guys, unknowingly, you were actually smarter, because your photos are not as good. So when they actually met you offline, they give you a higher rating compared to the girls. You know what I'm saying? You don't disappoint.
That's a good point. That's a good point. You want to go too low on your photos so that you can get some interest to begin with. Another relevant point here is that also with men's photos, see, women tend to, in order to really judge a man's physical attractiveness, she needs to know more information, not just his appearance. So for men, all it takes is like less than 1 second to judge physical attractiveness and whether or not the person is good enough to sleep with. But for women, they need a lot more judgment. So when they meet in person, it's possible that they have more contextual information now, and so they can form a better opinion about physical attractiveness, and then they are more likely to rate it higher.
I mean, interestingly, both men and women rated photos as the number one thing they look out for when sussing a person out online. I'll just go back to that slide. Oops. Yeah, here it is. I mean, Norman, your research focuses a lot on, what is the science of human attraction, what men and women look out for in each other. Would you say that these qualities, do they surprise you, or do they conform to what the research already says?
They're not too surprising. I mean, photos, men are more visually oriented. Men cue in on physical attractiveness indicators, but photos, above all, are more similar to, closer to what you would see in real life. You get to form an actual visual image of a person. So photos tell a lot. Women might be looking for different things. That's what the study doesn't quite get into the details, is that men might be looking for pure physical attractiveness in those photos, whereas women, relatively speaking, might be looking for cues of social connectedness. Does this guy have friends? Is he pictured with other people? Is he just by himself, or what? So photos are important for both sexes. And then, let's see. This is
what women were looking out for.
what women are looking for. Well, I don't know. It's hard to say. Perhaps the wall has information on what this guy's personality is more like.
Can I just add something
Sure,
here?
yeah.
One of the significant differences I thought was, okay, so women looked at wall post first before the About Me page.
That's right.
That was quite different from the guys. And I thought it was interesting because I think it's true, like I'm less likely to, maybe women are more skeptical or smarter, either way you put it. We tend not to just believe what you have written about yourself. So we want to see your wall post, and then we kind of analyze, like, what does he mean by this wall post? What kind of a person he is? So we look at your social views, your political views, and all this can only be stated by observing your wall post. Whereas I suppose guys are a little bit more trusting, You go, oh, okay, about me, that's what she says she is, so I'll take it that she's like what she says. So I thought that was quite interesting.
Alex, you had some views before this.
Yeah, well, first of all, I think that when it comes to photos, it doesn't at all surprise me, because in the real world, the first thing that you look at is the physical attractiveness. That is the first thing that you see, even before she opens her mouth, when you go into a bar, whatever you do. It's always the first thing that will attract you. If she doesn't attract you with her physicalness, then you will not even speak to her, probably. And then I said, is this the women or the men?
This is women.
So this is women, yes. I said that probably the About page for men was number 2, was it?
For men, it was number 2.
Yeah, basically that's where women state if they're single or not. So that's the reason why I think they go inside it. She's single, that's the first thing they look, and then they go, okay, she's single. Now I know that I can go on to the next thing. I think guys are more simpler than women. Women are more complicated, more emotional. They need more contextual information, just like Norman said. Because offline, when you meet, you have eye contact, you have the tone of voice, you have body language, you have all this that adds to your attractiveness, physical attractiveness. It's not only your face. So I'm not surprised at all over the findings.
Yeah, more on Maddie's point about the About Me mutual wall posts being flipped around. Women are also more intuitive, so it's harder to get information out of wall posts because they're not straightforward. It's not just this rational deduction. Whereas About Me is just a straightforward description. I think that's what most men are looking for in dating. Is that what they express to me a lot is, I wish women would just be straightforward. If they like me, they'll tell me. If they don't, they won't tell me. They'll tell me they don't like me. It would be so much easier. But women are a lot more indirect about it.
And one of the major reasons why women are so different than men is because women are evaluating relationships for long-term potential. This is somebody that they would have to trust and know and respect and all that kind of stuff, right? And then men are looking for long-term relationships, but also hoping for a short-term casual sexual encounter. So men are more quick to act on those kind of things.
Yeah, and I also think that wall posts and so on are very hard to interpret, because I mean, 1 second I might be angry sitting at home doing a wall post, and the woman walks up and says, "Oh my God, this guy's a lunatic," or I'm really happy and I'm posting a lot of happy stuff for a period of time, and the girl says that, well, this guy's clearly on some drugs or something. So I mean, it's really hard to interpret what people mean. Because you can even misinterpret a text message that you get from your ex-girlfriend, your friend. You read it and she's being sarcastic and you don't understand it or whatever. Your friends might understand your wall post better, but if you don't have no idea who that person is, you might think it's a complete lunatic.
Right, so it's also about context as well, I guess.
Yes.
Maddie, I understand you yourself met your husband on an internet forum. I mean, could you tell us a bit more about that experience and how did you kind of suss out his personality before you even met him?
Yeah, that was before social media was really big, so there was no photos when we started interacting. It was purely through the forum and then onto the email. And I was living in Thailand at the time, so it was really hard to find people with the same sort of humor. And I had Thai friends, but language is still different, right? And so you kind of miss English-speaking people. And so I ended up on an expat forum, and he posted some posts on, say, I think rock climbing. So I thought, sporty guy, should be interesting. Maybe rock climbing may be something that I'll be interested in. And so we started chatting, and then we emailed. And I think the thing that really got me was the sense of humor. I thought it was funny, like somebody who could laugh at himself, and obviously, as a woman, you've heard of all the crazy stories, and I've actually made quite a lot of friends online. So I have to say also that I've been quite fortunate that I like to think that I'm pretty smart, and that's why I've been meeting the right people online. I've actually made lifelong friends online, and eventually met them. But of course, you don't just meet them. You try to suss them out. You talk to them. You try to find out about where you're from, what do you think, and this and that. And if there's a consistency, because one thing I do believe is if you're a weirdo, you be weird online and offline. I mean, you may be able to hide your weirdness for maybe a few months. I don't know if you guys agree, but I don't think you can hide your weirdness for too long. And therefore, if you talk to a person long enough, and it's consistent, and I think with a good sense of humor, and if you're comfortable with this person, you kind of get along, then I think that's how I went with it, that he made me feel comfortable, he made me laugh, and it was consistent. Like, there was never any point that I was uncomfortable with a question that he asked or anything. So eventually I think we started out with maybe one email every 3 days, and it became one email every 2 days, then an email a day, and then 3 emails a day. And I think probably after 3 months, he decided to ask. He said, do you think it's time we meet, or are you going to ask me to take a long walk down the pier? And I thought it was kind of funny. So I said, yeah, let's meet. And we met, and we had a really nice evening, just a walk in the park and dinner. And after that, we dated, and we were married 6 months after. Oh, he proposed 6 months after. And we've been together for almost 10 years, and I have to say I could not have met a better match, because I dated for a really long time, and but so whether you say I'm lucky or I was just really smart to snag the right guy, and but whichever. So I am actually very encouraged by this, and I think it is a good way to meet people. If you're smart about it and you follow your instincts. I think one of you mentioned instincts, which is really important.
I think a concern, well, just based on personal experience, talking to my friends, one of the concerns people have is that, how do I know the person that I meet online is gonna translate that way in real life? And I mean, I guess there's always that discrepancy, which is, I think, part of what the survey was trying to find out. And I mean, I'm just curious to know from the panelists, do the people you interact with, your clients, or through research, do they also share this concern about that discrepancy between what is presented online and what's offline? Who is really the real person who's speaking to?
Well, I can start by saying that since I'm in the online dating industry for over 8 years, then I actually have statistic that shows that 20% of everybody on online dating are sex offenders or sex scammers. So, I mean, that is 1 out of 5. That is not a small number. And the reason for that is that a lot of people that use online dating sites today can be completely anonymous and completely build their own profile and so on.
Is this statistic in Singapore or?
No, this is global statistics. So I mean, a lot of people, even when I sometimes read the newspapers, I can actually read about people being in a sex scam or something similar because they met through online dating. So I do believe that there is a concern, especially for girls. For guys, not as much, because we men tend to be a little bit stronger than you girls, maybe, or so on. But there is a concern, absolutely. So what you try to do is you try to give tips to the girls on what they should do with online dating. And you try to implement features. Now I'm speaking for the online dating industry. You try to implement features for the users to verify that they are the persons behind this profile. So absolutely, there is a concern.
But do you think that with, like, for online it's the same as in real life, where you get what you're asking for? If, let's just say, you start up your conversation and you're always very sexual and you think that you're being cheeky, and you know you go to and fro with really cheeky messages, then obviously you're going to send out the wrong signal to the guy, and the guy is eventually going to get the wrong message and ask you to meet for all the wrong reasons. Whereas if, let's just say, your interaction has always been rather just about, life or interesting, just getting to know that person or soul or his character, then probably there's a chance that there might be a real relationship.
A real long-term relationship.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think that you can spend a lot of time getting to know people online. However, I've done that because I've been using online dating sites for 10 years. And that was when pictures was involved. and I've spent months talking to girls, writing emails that you could consider as books. And once I met them, I never spoke to them again. So no, because I mean it is so easy to no, not talking, but it is extremely easy to create your own image of someone, because when someone writes a text about themselves or try to write, they try to please the person on the other side, just like when you're trying to get a job. When you write in your CV, you say, well, I'm the founder of Google, I'm the founder of Facebook, and I'm the founder of this. Please hire me and I'll make you, yeah? So you exaggerate a little bit. And for the other person who's reading it, it's really easy to try and make it fit the dream girl of your life. Yeah, she likes rock climbing. But that doesn't mean that she's yeah, exactly. So all I'm saying is that I do believe you can spend a lot of time communicating with someone, but when you build an image of someone for months, and then when you meet that person, you might get a shock. That's all I'm saying. So
was this before you were saying before photos were involved?
No, this is when photos was involved.
Oh, you had photos.
Yeah, I had photos.
Okay, just to help, I mean, like one of the things that Alexander's doing with his company is integrating it with Facebook, so that it gives you more accountability and it's more transparent.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
So that will prevent some of the scammers and all that.
Yes, that is my goal.
But one thing to notice that how slow the online dating thing is, if you're going to actually meet a mate online and it takes months to suss her out, that's an unacceptable timeline for most of my clients. So one of the reasons why what we do with online is it's a great way to establish the first communication, but you have to take it offline. And one optimistic point is that after the point about the photos I was making was that at the end, everyone liked the person more when they met them. Well, not in that case, but yeah, I'm more open to meeting this person, and that goes up. So either you can improve the presentation online to make it meet the offline representation, or you can just focus more on the offline communication and interactions.
People do what they do online is exactly, they do it exactly what they do offline in real life, in real, face-to-face interactions. Put their best foot forward, try to sell themselves, start fantasizing about this person, all that kind of stuff. But online, everything is just hyper-exaggerated. You just have more anonymity, and there's more time to think about things, there's more time to prepare your responses, to choose the right, to work for hours on sending the right email message, to think about things, to research it. And so, you kind of like, like you guys were saying, you build up expectations and you make it. You can exaggerate a lot of details, and so you have to, like David said, ultimately just meet up and find out if any of this is true before it goes on forever.
I have to say that this is completely true. When you have an online dating site, my tip to my users would actually be, don't waste your time talking too long. Just get to action and meet them as soon as possible. Because offline is not preferable, it's a necessity. You need to meet as soon as possible. So the online dating is only to, as I say, look at the landscape, try and find the best flowers in a fast way, because spending months and months of talking in emails and so on, that is going to take a lot of your time. And time is money. And
if a person that you're getting to know is just way too good to be true, they probably are.
Yes, I completely agree.
David, I'm going to go back to what you said earlier about how you were quite encouraged by the difference. More people rated the people favorably once they met offline. But let me just play the devil's advocate here. I mean, in this case, it's an experiment. They were kind of forced to meet offline. In the real world, I think, particularly with social media dating, you do tend to cycle through potential dates very quickly. And you assess, okay, no, he's not for me. Yes, I'll meet him. No, no, because there are just so many choices out there. That's one of the advantages, I guess. You get to meet a huge pool of people, but it also means that you tend to filter out people more easily. So I guess, what would have happened in real life in this case is that perhaps they wouldn't even have bothered to meet, or they wouldn't have bothered to give the date a chance. I mean, so what kind of advice then do you usually give your clients in terms of securing that date?
The point wasn't the point I was making wasn't the success of going from online to offline.
Right.
It was just the success of going offline completely. So when you meet the person in person, they present better. Just based on that, it's hard to interpret that, but it seems like they present better in person. So what I was saying is either they need to improve their online representation, or they should just stick to in person as a better way to do it. And going online, if you're not good at finessing your profile, you're going to be at a disadvantage. So as you can see, most men don't know how to Photoshop. They don't know what looks good. They never put makeup on, so they don't pay attention to that. And this will hurt them. Whereas the guy or the people, the men and women, who know how to present themselves as a good first impression, then it can really help them get a lot more initial contacts.
What kind of, I'm curious to know, what kind of advice do you usually give your clients in terms of their online presence, if they're planning to meet people online?
Yeah, most men have horrible Facebook profiles. So one of the things was the wall posts. There are guys with emo wall posts all the time. If something, they stub their toe, they go online and write about it. Oh, my life sucks. And it's a really bad way of presenting yourself, Whereas if I always tell guys to err on the side of being optimistic and being positive. So if they're always happy, that's way better than just being neutral or even complaining. Because at least if a woman becomes part of his life, she knows she's going to have or experience these happy or positive experiences. That's one way to present it. Obviously, we have to vet the photos and the albums and all that. But there's a lot. The more transparent you are, the harder it is to contain that.
Do the panelists have anything to add on? I mean, how can we kind of improve our chances? How do we present a better side of ourselves online with the purpose of getting more dates?
I think one idea, especially for men, is to feature yourself in different social contexts. If you have pictures of yourself, with this group of friends at work, these types of people and whatever, women get a better sense of that, right? This is what they're ultimately trying to assess. Is this person for real? Are they socially connected? Are they, somebody, right? And so for women, posting photos that show them in different outfits and different contexts